move our city forward. Tomorrow I'm going to be releasing the first of a few economic planks that I'm going to be coming out with that I think will help rejuvenate and again move our local economy in another direction. I mean, back in the 70s and 80s, I mean, we were a one-horse town that totally relied on mineral extraction and refining.
Used to hire 3,000 students.
Yeah, exactly. Those days went by the wayside in the late 70s when all of a sudden, you got 23% interest rates, you got double-digit unemployment rates, and Inco and Falconbridge at the time started laying off people and reducing down to whether the current numbers are now. The municipal governance at that time looked around and said, "Hey, this is going in the wrong direction. What can we do to change things around?" So they looked around. They said, "Well, we need to become the regional medical referral center. We need to be an educational destination, and we need to get into some kind of manufacturing." So they did the things that they needed to do, which was create the infrastructure and invest some money in new directions that we are now benefiting from. I mean, we have a very good world-class mining, exploration, manufacturing operations. We have great educational facilities such as Laurentian and College Boreal and Cambrian. We have Health Sciences North, which is the Northeastern Referral Center for all of the stuff plus whatnot.
We should have a lot of good stuff going.
Absolutely, and all that was a direct result of the fact that we were in crisis back in the late 70s, early 80s, and our municipal leaders said, "Okay, we have to do something. This is what we're going to do," and they did it. And they bit the bullet and they made the investments that they needed to. And they put the structures in place that they needed to, so that here we are 30, 40 years later, we're reaping the benefits of it. What I'm saying is that worked. We've ridden that horse long and hard, but the amount of time, effort, and money that you continue to put into those exact same areas will not return the same kind of net benefit from here on out, because we've obtained critical mass here, okay?
Law of diminishing returns.
That's right. So now it's time that we have to look at new directions for economic development, and that's what I'm going to be announcing tomorrow as my first direction. I have a number of different directions I think we should be taking, so not all of them, but take some of the resources that we currently have been expending to continue to develop those areas, take those resources and look at some new areas to move in that potentially will have as big or bigger impact on our economic development going forward as these initiatives did back in the 70s and 80s.
I guess in order to do that, we have to look beyond 2018.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't say this is going to happen overnight. This is long-term planning. But if you don't take the steps now, you'll miss the boat. I mean, there are some financial things, planets that are aligning right now that make it attractive to start to look at making investments in time, effort, and money into some new areas. And I believe that when people have the opportunity to look at what I'm proposing, that they will see that it is the right way to go, and that it's going to be a net benefit to the entire community, and it's something that we should support.
That's good, because I think one of the things that you notice is there are people who, in this whole campaign, who are identifying the problem.
Yeah.
And there's others who are identifying solutions.
Yeah.
And I think we've gone past the point of, well, okay, we got a problem here.
Yeah. I think everybody recognizes that there's problems. I think everybody's identified the problems. The question is, how are you going to deal with the problems? How are you going to fix the problems? I mean, there's a lot of innovative ways that we can take on some of these problems and come up with some really neat solutions. And I think as the campaign goes on, I think you'll see that some of the solutions that I propose and bring forward, A, are well thought through, B, have very good potential to solve the problem once and for all, or at least have a very big influence on turning it around.
That's good, and I guess that's what we're hoping for in the next 10 weeks. I mean, the election is 10 weeks from today, so,
Exactly.
we've got time,
Mhm.
but people do, the public has to, go to school.
Well, I mean, I think the number one job of a candidate is to educate the voters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, if, you know, it's not a popularity
No.
contest whether you like me as a person or not.
No.
The stuff that I'm putting forward, that I say, here's something that I've thought about for some time. I've done some research on, I've packaged it up, and here's the solution for this one, here's the solution here, and this solution here. What do you think?
Your choice.
What do you think? You think I'm on the right track with this? Give me some feedback. You know, I've sat down with a lot of people who are you know, NDP, conservative, liberals, Greens, talked about a number of different issues, and they, you know, we all start kicking things around. This isn't about whether you're conservative, liberal, green, or NDP. This is about what's right for our community. What's the solution that's going to change things around? You know, I mean, everybody's well, anybody who drives or walks or does anything in this town knows that we have an infrastructure deficit. You know, I'm proposing that we use municipal bonds to take care of that. Other people would have you believe that we can go down and get money from another level of government that's going to solve all of our problems, or from some corporation. I'm telling you that the municipal corporation of the city of Greater Sudbury has the financial wherewithal to acquire the funds that we need through municipal bonds to take care of our infrastructure deficit, get the city up to speed so that we can move forward for the next 20 years. Because if we don't do that, we will never get ahead of the infrastructure deficit the way it's being handled now. It's spending $46 million in capital roads projects a year. We'll continue to lose
We're
ground.
losing ground.
Because you cannot do enough with $46 million a year, and you cannot raise taxes enough to raise that $46 million a year to really impact that infrastructure. So, what you do is, instead of taking $46 million and spreading it so thin around all of the wards that everybody gets their 150 yards of pavement and doing nothing as well as it should be and getting substandard value for that, let's take that $46 million, and instead of burning it, which is basically what we're doing, because you see roads that are 18 months old that are garbage, let's take that $46 million and let's issue our municipal bonds on a 40-year term, interest, principal, fixed rate on the interest for the next 30, 40 years. It works out to about $46 or $47 million a year, 27 something for interest and 27 something for capital, or for principal. All of a sudden now we've got the money that we need to fix our infrastructure. What we do is put a plan together for the next 5 years. Over the next 5 years, we're gonna have all of our infrastructure dealt with, and here's how we're gonna do it. And we use that money to do it with. Then it's done. Now we're moving forward. Now we have a basis on which to build our city, to grow our city, to grow our tax base. If you try and bring more companies in there, the horror stories. I know a company that bought a piece of property. They were from out west. They were gonna come into the Sudbury here. Bought a piece of property, went to the city, said, this is what we want to do with it, but we need rezoning. City says, yep, that falls within the what we would like to see happen with that property. Got the rezoning. They go to get a building permit and get started, and all of a sudden the city says, oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna have to put in this humongous cistern. And they go, what for? Well, we don't have enough water pressure out there because our infrastructure is lacking. So for fire protection, you have to put the cistern in. It's gonna cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. I said, well, excuse me, but you just said that we were good to go here, and now you're putting all these, oh yeah, well, you know, it's just an infrastructure thing. Now that isn't the way that you get business to invest in the city and build your economy.
They don't stay around long when you do it.
Well, I mean, they now are looking at, well, maybe we'll just sell that property and we'll move to North Bay, because guess what? they actually have water pressure there. They have some infrastructure. So what I'm saying is that a big part of the reason why we're sort of in the stagnates right now is because we haven't paid attention to dealing with that infrastructure deficit and dealing with that problem. And we need to if we're gonna move forward. You can attract all the businesses you want here through your economic development guys, but if the infrastructure isn't here for them to support their business when they get here, they're not gonna come.
No.
So get your infrastructure dealt with and away you go from there. That's the one way that we can deal with that quickly. Have a plan to move forward. Now, there's some people that say, yeah, well, you're just putting it on our grandkids to pay off. No, actually, we're paying it off ourselves and we're moving forward onto this thing. What we're not doing is handing over a completely bankrupt, from an infrastructure point of view, city to our children who, they wanna live here, but perhaps you can't put a house up because there's not enough water to service the thing.
They have no potential.
That's right, and part and parcel to this infrastructure renewal, we've got lots of people talking about Lake Ramsey watershed and all the rest of the concerns there. As far as I'm concerned, that's all part of that infrastructure deficit, so within 5 years, we could have the protection on the Ramsey Lake watershed as a result of this infrastructure initiative, that while we're doing the roads, we're also doing the catchments so that we can treat the stormwater runoff before it gets into the lake. It's a win-win-win.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a really good business plan.
Plus, that $700 million being invested here in town.
Yeah.
Goods and services, jobs, whatnot. So you'll have an immediate, local stimulating factor.
Well, that sounds like it's the core of almost everything
Well,
that we're talking about. So I mean, it's huge. It's kind of like the heart. If you can address that, then
Yeah.
everything else will.
Well, it's like building a house without a foundation. I mean, you gotta have the infrastructure to build on.
Yeah.
Now, there's some people that would say, well, yeah, you're gonna spend $700 million in infrastructure and perhaps they can't build a road now that stands up. Okay, during the Cold War, there was a little phrase that was used by Gorbachev and Reagan. And it was trust, but verify, okay? So what I would make part and parcel to awarding these contracts to redo our infrastructure is that the contractors and the engineers and everybody has to agree that there's gonna be some independent third-party oversight here. The city has its own people that are out on the jobs and saying, here's what's supposed to be done. The contractors are doing it and the city guys are signing off and all the rest of it. Then there's some engineers that are on one side or the other that are occasionally going out. What I would do is have everybody agree that at any time during the course of the construction, an independent third-party engineer can walk onto the site and say, I wanna see this, I wanna see this, I wanna see this. And if he walks onto the site and the compaction rates or the material that's being used is not right, you get one shot. After that, you start getting fined, and heavily fined. There has to be consequences for their actions. If they're gonna try and cut corners, they have to know that there is a method of verifying that they are actually doing what they say they're going to do, and if they're not doing what they say they're gonna do, they have to understand there's gonna be some very severe penalties, because we don't want to waste $700 million on substandard jobs. So, that is another critical part of putting that infrastructure forward. There has to be verifiable results. So we'll trust them, but we wanna verify it, make sure that what we're buying is what we're getting.
No, like I say, it sounds like a pretty good business plan. I mean, it's not just a political thing, it's a business plan. So it's just a matter of implementing. We only have a few minutes left before, I know you're busy, you gotta run out, but is there anything that, in the last 4 or 5 minutes that can wrap up what we should know, or what you want people to be listening for as we're?
Well, I think everybody needs to take a critical look at who's running, what do they bring to the table? Both, not just their past experience in life, but do they actually have some ideas that make sense to solve the problems? and how credible are those ideas? Are they well researched? Are they not? And if people do that and they look and see and they decide this, this makes sense to me, this is what I'm gonna vote for, then to me that's the democracy at its finest, because we've got a good quality candidate that's got some ideas, who's well thought out, articulated them perfectly, and we have some voters who've taken the time to look at them, research them, understand them, and make an informed decision. That's the best that we can hope for.
And there's no excuse for not doing that, because all of the credible candidates have websites, they've got social media, they're putting, all of the candidates are putting where they stand out there. So it's there.
Yeah, it's right there. I mean, it's at your fingertips. I mean, it's a little more than a few clicks on the computer, and you've got it. Now, for those of the population who aren't computer literate and the rest of it, I mean, pick up the phone, call the candidates up and say, hey, listen, my number is open, and I answer my own phone. So anybody wants to talk about it and they don't have a computer, they want to get my views on something, they're more than welcome and happy to talk to them at any time.
And everybody's phone number is on the
website.
The
city, all right, they just gotta phone the city up and say, what's the phone number for this candidate or that, and they'll get it, so.
Yeah, so there's no reason for people to say, well, let's vote for the person with the most signs, with the most colorful sign. But there is you can find out who's running in your area. You can do the research, you can find out who's running for mayor, you can do the research. There's no reason for an uninformed voter, and I think that's critical.
And I think a reflection of the candidate is in the campaign that they run. Is it well organized? Is it completely thought through? Have they done a good job? I mean, how they run their campaign and how well they respond to the issues and have platforms will reflect, I think, directly on what kind of a job they're gonna do if they are elected. So you have to look at that aspect of it as well.
It's great. It's been, I always enjoy talking to you, so I hope that when the election's over, we can continue doing it. It's get out, do your homework, and let's make sure that there's a good turnout.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Unfortunately, I tend to ramble on, but I'm passionate about these issues, and when it's something that, I mean, it needs to be done, it has to be done, that's why I'm doing this.
I've always said the devil's in the details, and I really hate looking at the concise one-liners.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanna see what's behind the line.
How are you gonna do it?
Yeah, and that's why we've had time, like 40, 45 minutes. It's not even enough time to explore, but it's enough for us at least to get a picture.
Well, get a sampling of what it's all about, and then, hey, this could be the basis for someone to do their further research into what my platform's all about, and what the other candidates' platform's all about, and start comparing them.
That's right. So thanks for spending some time, and good luck in the next 10 weeks. It's gonna go fast.
Absolutely.
Thank you. You've been listening to Learning Clinic on CKU 96.7 FM. I'm your host, Bob Kerwin, and we'll be right back.
So speaking of social media and all the rest of it, any chance that I can get a picture of us so that we can put it on? I'm gonna try, how do you, apparently these selfie things or something.
I'm gonna get Rob. Rob, you around?
This not-for-profit festival is much more than great live music. There's something for the whole family to enjoy, including food vendors.
Going to